R. Sarasu is an assistant head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Dhanalakshmi Srinivasan College of Engineering and Technology, Mamallapuram, Chennai. She has 7 years of teaching experience for undergraduate and postgraduate students. She has also served as head of the Department of Information and Technology for 2 years. She has been teaching in the area of data structures, computer architecture, design and analysis of algorithm, internet programming, advanced computer architecture, information security, soft computing, system software, web technology, and advanced Java programming. She has attended various workshops and many faculty development programs. She has also presented papers in national and international conferences. She has comprehensive problem-solving ability and good communication skill with a strong inclination for teaching. Her research interests are web data mining, web data extraction, and semantic information retrieval.
Welcome to UGC lecture series in computer science. We are going to see series of lecture on web technology, semester 6, paper 15. Unit 2 covers introduction to JavaScript, its advantages, how to write the looping constructors, dialog boxes, functions and arrays. The outline of this today's lecture is functions, introduction to function, categories of function, how to declare a function and invoke a function, what are all the predefined objects or predefined function present in JavaScript, and arrays. In last session we are discussing about the control structures used in JavaScript, and with that continuation we will continue with the function session. What is meant by a function? So in order to split the program into small modules so that the program visually it will be good. So instead of writing a code a full page, we can divide the entire task into functions. So that time we need functions. So function constitute clarity in the program as well as modularity. So we can split the entire program task into sub modules is called as functions. So in every programming languages there is a function. So function is meant for modularity, that is, instead of writing the entire page we can split these pages into small modules called functions. So modules in the JavaScript is called as functions. So we can call this as method. In JavaScript we will call this as functions. So function is a block of code that will be executed when it is being invoked. Invoked means calling. So we have a set of code that to be invoked n number of times, or it should be used n number of times. We can specify that type of code in a function. So wherever we require we can call that function, instead writing that set of tasks again and again. So to make the program simpler we can going in for functions. So function is meant for modularity. So instead writing a program lengthy wise, we can split that lengthy program into modules, and wherever that modules is required we can just invoke it. So we can invoke the function to do a specified task. So invoking is otherwise called as calling. So calling that function to do a specified task. So as every programming language is concerned, JavaScript also has two categories of function. One is user defined function, another one is predefined function. As the name indicates, user defined function, so as a user, as a programmer, we can specify our task to be executed by a script. So we can when the user has given the task for a function, that is called as user defined function, and predefined function is whose definitions are already available in JavaScript. So it has been written and inbuilt. So this inbuilt function is called as predefined function. So function is a set of tasks which is used to do a set of tasks which contains set of instructions given by the user. If the user specify the task, then it is called as user defined function. If the user is using the predefined function, then that is called as predefined function or predefined methods. When the definition has been written inbuilt and saved, it is called as predefined function. The user just invoke it instead of writing it. So in user defined function, the definition and invoking is done by the user, whereas in user defined function only invoking occurs. That is, reusing the function again is called as predefined function. So this is about the functions. It is represent the modules. So user defined function, the programmer can write function to define specific tasks. It can be used at many point of the script. When we want to call a set of instruction again and again, we can write that in a function. So a function is invoked by a function call. The function call specifies the function name and provides the information arguments that is called function need to perform its task. So the calling function should ask the called function to do a specified task. So the calling function is called invoking function should ask the function to do a specified task. So this is the introduction about the user defined function. How to write the user defined function. So the syntax for this is function, function name, parameter list and the set of statements. So declaration and statements. So in other languages like Java, we won't use function as a keyword. In JavaScript, we will be using the function name with the keyword function. So this is the function definition. So to indicate the script it is a function, we can specify that with the keyword function, and the function name is the name specified by the user to do a specified task, and the parameters, what are the variables to be passed to achieve that task is called as parameter list or variables, and declaration and statements. So local variable declarations and the set of statements, that is the function has to do specific task. So that task is specified within declaration and statements. So the function name, any valid identifier specified by the user. Parameter list is the name of the variable that will receive the arguments. The function definition can have number of parameters, that is we can have n number of parameters in parameters list. It can be empty, we can give or we may not give. The user can specify, it is optional. Then the declaration and statements include the task to be done, that is function body or block of the code to be specified or it should be executed. Data type here, only the function name has been specified with the help of function, and function name parameter list. So next the body of the statement to be executed to do a specified task. So this is about the function definition. So example here, function is a keyword which is used in script to indicate it is a function, and the function name is my function, and the parameter, only one parameter has been specified here, name, and alert is a body of the statement, and it will produce alert box with the names specified passed with the value name. So it will produce the name in the alert box. So this is a function which produces or print the name specified in the name parameters. So this is the function definition. So the function definition specifies what task should be done by that function. The user has to specify the task to be completed. So with the help of the keyword function, function name and the declaration statements. Important things to be noted is, like other programming languages like C and Java will be generally defining about the return type, what value the function should return. Here in JavaScript, no return type. So we will not specify any int, float or void data type. Instead that we have giving it is a function. So no return type present in JavaScript. It is an important difference between the other programming language and JavaScript is concerned. Next, no variable typing for parameters. That is, for example, in this we are not passing any int name, string name like that. So we are not passing any variable type. So no variable type. So this is a basic difference. and as usual we can pass the value or we can pass the expression for the parameters list. So in this parameters list, no data type should be present and no return type. So we are using only function and no return type, and inside the parameter also we should not specify the parameters. So we can specify by passing values or expressions. So for example, this is a function which returns an boolean value true or false. We are checking is a prime number or not. So n is less than 2, return false. So it will come out of the loop. So return is a statement which returns something. So it is an integer, it is a boolean value. We are not specifying any boolean type here. We are specifying only the function. So no return type present in JavaScript. We will specify that place only the function name and the function keyword and the parameters to be used. So this is a basic difference between the other programming languages and JavaScript is concerned. So next is, we have two portions in function. One is function definition. We have specified the task, how to call that function and how to use or make that function to work. So we can use that function by invoking the function or function call. So it is called as function invocation. So how to call the function. So we have written the task, we want to reuse that function some part of the program. So we have function name, argument. So in definition we are passing the parameters. So n is a parameters. So we are going to call that function some arguments or values. So argument 1 and argument 2 specifies the parameters which we have specified in the function definition. We can give that as arguments or we can pass that as a values. So both are possible in function call. So as function call is concerned, we should have some rules. Function call should have the names. We can have arguments or we can pass the arguments in terms of constants, variables or expression. For example, previously we have a function called as my function with a name, that is a string value should be given with the alert box. So alert box will be appearing with the name specified in this function. So we have defined the function here. So while calling, we can call like this, my function. So it is a function name. Yes, of course it is a function name. And next argument. Argument is the name. So John is a name or a string to be passed and it will be displayed as an alert box with the John as a string. So we are using the function wherever we require. We can call that function any number of times. We can define the function only once and we can call the function n number of times to reuse the function. So the main advantage of functions is reusability and as well as the modularity. So we can define once and we can reuse anywhere in the code where we are writing, the script program we are writing. So the next statement is a return statement which is used to return the values after executing the task. So when the function is being executed, it should return the values to the user. So how to return the values? So we can specify that using return statements. So the return statement is used to specify the value that is returned from the function. After doing every task, the value should be captured by the function call. So to capture that value, the return statement must be used. So the function that are going to return a value must use this return statement. So we are going to calculate a product of simple two integers. So we are going to get the product and that value is being stored in x. So this x has the sum. So this function is returning the value x. So the return statement is used in function while the function is returning some value to the user. So the important thing is there is no data type present here. Whatever the type of value it is going to return, it just return. We are not specifying as such of in C and JavaScript. In Java we will specify with the return type, whereas in JavaScript we will not specify with return type. So we will specify the name of the function and the arguments, no return type. So whether it is integer value we are going to return, whether we are going to return boolean value, float value, string, whatever it is there, we should not specify the type, since all the variables in JavaScript is specified with the keyword where it specify all the data types. So we are not specifying here particular data type here. So we should not use a data type inside the function return type and the parameters. Let us see an example for this function. So this is a script which we are going to specify the function. We are going to calculate the square of numbers from 1 to 10. So since we are going to print the square of numbers from 1 to 10, we need absolutely a for loop. For loop with the initial variable, control variable x, and the last value is 10. So 1 to 10 obviously it is 10, and it is increment part. So here we have written a function called square. So this is the function definition. So this is the function definition. So what task should be done should be specified here. Here the task is the function should return the square of numbers from 1 to 10. So we have specified that with the value return y star y star. So it is going to produce a square of that particular control variable x, and this is called as square of x, which is nothing but this is the calling. So this is invocation or calling. So this is function definition. Two part of the function. One is function definition, is specify the task. Here the task is square of the numbers, and we are just reusing it. We are going to print the square of numbers from 1 to 10. So the function name is square, and the variable here is, or the parameter list. In parameter list we have only one variable here, y. So this is the calling. So function name square and some parameters. So the x and y will be matched. Both can differ, that is formal arguments and actual arguments can be differed. So y represents the x. So both are matched and the values will be returned. Let us have the short break. Welcome back after the break. Before the break we were discussing about the return statement. So let us execute for program for this return statement for printing 1 to 10 numbers. So the series of numbers from 1 to 10 is being printed. The square of 1 is 1, 2 is 4, 3 is 9. So this statement will be executed until the value become less than or equal to 10, that is 9. So the initial value from 1 to the final value less than or equal to 10, 9. So the numbers and the squares will be printed. So each time the square value is returned to the calling function square of x. So this is an example for a function. So we were discussing about the predefined functions, which has two parts, function definition and function call. These two will be in user defined functions. So the user defined function constitute function definition and function call. So the next type of function is predefined functions. So it is also called as object methods, or it is the whose definitions have been available inbuiltly in JavaScript. User can reuse it instead writing the code for the task. The task have been written already, they can use it. So these are called as predefined functions or predefined object methods. So these methods or functions are related with the object to do something. So do something. So for example, here document.write. So write is an inbuilt function which is present in the object document, and write is a method inbuilt. This is a line. So this is a user defined object by calling this predefined method write. So we can use the predefined objects which is present in JavaScript. So this type of function is called as objects method, since we are using the object to call that. So we have several objects present in JavaScript. So in that document is one of the object. So write is a method. So we can have this type of objects and methods in inbuilt functions. So we have several types of inbuilt objects or functions. We have mathematical objects, string objects, next is date object. Likewise, we have several objects available in JavaScript. So first one is math object. So this objects contain some inbuilt functions to perform mathematical operations. So instead writing all this mathematical in terms of user can reuse the functions. For example, find out the power of an value, absolute value. So ABS constitute absolute value of particular integer. So this math object is used to perform mathematical operations on any numbers. Next is string objects. So as string is concerned, we can do the string manipulations on it or to find some letters within the string. So what are the operations on string? In concatenate strings, reverse string. So all these operations is possible with the help of string objects. To do a string calculations, string manipulations, we can do with string objects. So let us have the mathematical object. So here input 1. So we are getting a number. We are just displaying the number. It's with its square root. The square root of the number we are going to produce as output. So here first we are entering the number. Next, since all the JavaScript accept the input as a string, we need to convert that into a number. So with the help of parseInt function we can convert it, and we are calling the function display number, right? So this is calling. So whenever the function is being called, it goes suddenly to the function definition. So this is a function definition. We are receiving that number and we are calculating the square root of the number and we are going to print it. So the square root is a inbuilt function which is available in math objects. So with the object and the particular method function, we do some operations without writing any code. So by the user, so the user can reuse it. The square root is a inbuilt object and this is a inbuilt method, and math is a inbuilt object. So this program will ask the user enter a number, and the number is being entered, it is being passed to the function. This user defined function is calling the predefined function called square root, and square root is being calculated and it is being alerted and in the alert box. So the value of the program will be displayed in the alert box. So let us execute this math object function, which is square root. So it asks the user to enter a number. So I will enter the number as 9. So the value is 3. So this user defined function is calling the predefined function called square root instead of writing the square root definitions. So it is being alerted with the square root value. So this is an example program for mathematical object. So this is an part alert, math is an object, and square root is a inbuilt function, and number is a value which we are going to pass as a parameter, like 10, whatever the value, integer values, we are going to pass it. So next is string object. So string object is concerned, all the string within the JavaScript should be enclosed within double quotes. So all the string value should be enclosed within double quotes. So as usual, the string will be declared with the variable s is equal to, we are going to assign hello as a string, and this is the conversion as a string. So this _0 is a inbuilt function which is available in string object. So consider this string object as several functions to manipulate the string, like caret. It returns the position, what's the character position and what is the character at the particular position. So this is char coded. So likewise we have so many functions to perform string manipulations, and one of this method is caret of 0. It will return the first position. So always the string array will starts with 0. So 0 specifies the first portion of the string. So for example, s at char of 0 will return h. So s is a string and hello is a string value for s, but we need only the value at the 0th position. So the index value is being 0, so it will return h. So likewise we want to find some occurrences, patterns, when you want to concatenate, reverse the string, all string manipulations are possible with the string objects. So let us see an example program for this. So we have script which illustrate the inbuilt object called string. So here we have two variables s and s2, those are strings, and hello is a string and UGC is a string. So here the first line we are using s dot caret 0, caret of 0, which indicates the first position in that particular string, that is 0th position is h. Next function we are using, inbuilt function, is uppercase. So to uppercase means convert the particular case into uppercase. When the string is being lowercase, it will be converted into uppercase automatically. So these two are inbuilt string functions. Caret is a string function and uppercase to uppercase is a string function. Let us execute this program for string functions. So character at index 0 of hello is h. So first portion is being printed, and next is uppercase letter UGC we have specified within small case, but it has been printing as uppercase. So this is in lower case. Since we are converting that s2 string to uppercase, we are getting the output UGC in uppercase. So this is very preliminary case or very basic functions to do the string manipulations. So this is an example for math object and string object. Next object is important object is date object. We can also manipulate our date to our web pages without using any predefined date. The predefined date will be in the format as Greenwich Mean Time and Universal Coordinated Time. So these two times are being used in date object. So we can manipulate the date, or otherwise we can reuse the existing date. So string object and mathematical object is concerned. In date objects is also having some functions: get date, get UTC date, get day, get UTC date, get full year. So these are the inbuilt methods which is available in date objects. For example, here variable my date is equal to new date. We are going to manipulate a date in the system. Instead of using the inbuilt date, we are going to modify for our purpose. So we can give it as today's date is my date dot get date. So when you want to modify, we can modify with a operator called new. So variable, inbuilt object date. So this is date is a inbuilt object. We can use to modify the date which is present already. So let us have the example for this date object. Here actually two variables have been declared. So first one is variable date 1 is equal to new date. So this indicates the date which is already available, and new date which we are going to this is modified date which I am going to modify it, and this is the inbuilt date. For example, so we are going to get the first date, that is system date, into two strings. So it will be presented in the string format in Greenwich Coordinated Time. So string object, since it is a number, we are going to convert that into string. ToString is a method which is available in string object to print that date in string manner. Next is modified date and its modified month. So get month indicates the modified month. So D1 is the date which we have modified to October 13. So today's date have been modified to October 13. This is also possible. So we can reuse the date, otherwise we can modify the date. So this get month will return the 9th. Since it is October is a 9th month, we can get the output as 9. Here the inbuilt date which is present in the system. So these two statements will produce today's date, and this statement will produce the modified date. So with this date object we can able to do the manipulations on date objects. So let us execute this example. So the default date in the system is January 21, and the time, and this is UTC time, and or the Greenwich time. Here the UTC time is present in the system, and it has been today's date is 21, and we have modified the date to October 13 in the program, and the modified month is 9. So since we have modified the date to October 13, the month is 9. So this is the output which we are specifying. Let us summarize this session. This session we have seen what is meant by function, function declaration, function definition, function categories, and the predefined objects which is present in JavaScript, and what are all the advantages of using functions. Let us pose some question for understanding purpose. What is meant by function? What is meant by function definition and calling? What are the types of functions? What is meant by predefined function? Give some examples. Let us conclude this session of function, and we will continue the rest of the function in the subsequent session.